You all are like a tidal wave this morning for me. Wonderful. How marvelous. Oh, Omkaram bindu samyuktam nityam dhyayanti yoginah kamadam mokshadam chaiva Omkaraya namo Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nisprapanchaya Shandaya Nirvalamaya Tejase Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Okay. So, Welcome to Satsang. Can you also feel this? There's so much love present here. It really is like a tidal wave for me. There was a little deep heart giggle when I closed my eyes during my short meditation that this kind of gathering can shift things, certainly in ourselves. Definitely in ourselves. Happy to see you all. Okay. At Yogaville, Swami Satchidananda's ashram in the dining hall called Shivananda Hall, there's a placard that says, "The one who brings happiness to others will be the happiest of all." Something like this. I'm always misquoting, but that's the idea. I think this is true. Deep, deep.
Hari Hari. So I'm reading through a Veda, which is called Rig Veda, the oldest of Hindu Vedas. I'm reading through a profound concept called Vasudhaiva Kutumbam in Sanskrit, which means the world is one family. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about, I think it is chapter 15, verse number 6. Krishna talks about every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna. So I guess my question is, as I'm reading through this profound concept, my question is, how can we transcend our natural tendency to be absorbed in our own plans and struggles, but to really genuinely cultivate the well-being of others, not because it's my duty, not because it's my service here, not because I have to do it, not because I'm reading the lessons, but from a deep place of heartfelt empathy. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. It's true. It's the truth whether we know it or not. The secret's in that. The secret to the sadhana, to the path, is in that it's true whether we know it or not. True what we say, or don't, or what we do or don't. This truth is unaffected, untarnished by our thought, word, and deed. It's good news. Because in this, if we can really take this to heart, we can truly appreciate the most effective strategy to realizing it honestly in our own direct experience, which is to simply soften and allow, to simply relax, to know that it's already true, has never not been true, can give you the space to just be as you are in every moment. And this, regardless of the path, this is the best approach. This sincerity. And also this deep longing to experience that is also an incredible fuel. This fuel can burn so hot. In the Vedantic tradition, they call this one mumukshu. It's one of my favorite words. Mumukshutra, on fire for the truth, for the love of God. And so really this longing and this frustration that we experience of seeing that there's something there that I can't quite taste, the frustration, even the self-doubt and all of the self-recriminations, these also are, in a way, from this way of looking at it, a really good sign that you're ready, ripening. And and so this frustration, this longing, it's a very good indicator for your readiness, your maturity to move into something deeper, more profound, more true. And don't let it take you over. You see, this striving can also take on the hue of shame. And this, I assure you, is the worst approach. Hard to be free of, to be sure. So take this frustration and this desire as something really, truly good in you, not evidence of something bad in you, okay? It's really important because it's so common. To come face to face with who you are that you aren't. How can I say this better? To come face to face with self-knowledge of who you think you are. It's not easy, but it's very good. You might call this the first step of spiritual evolution. So I think this must be the posture in which you undertake the journey, the sadhana, the practice that you're looking for to help free you from the sense of being separate from Krishna. Each scripture, even each tradition, each set of rituals and cultural mores, they're all right in their way. They're all perfectly aligned in their way. Different paths. And if you're approaching the mountain to climb it, you approach from where you are. You can't climb another's path. And you can't really even evaluate another's path unless you've taken it up and down. It's said that there is no path that isn't infinitely, meticulously specific to each of you. And it's nice that we have something called Sangha, and we can align in common belief systems and traditions, be in the care and protection of a culture aligned with spirituality at ashram. Or in Sangha. It's very helpful. But simultaneously, you must know that your path is your own. Maybe let's extend this to the climbing the mountain, you know? It's good to have a group to motivate you, to keep you honest, to inspire you towards service, to help them when they're struggling, and to be available to be helped when you're struggling, to have a guide and a Sherpa. All of these things are helpful. But you're the one that moves the feet. You see? I think there is no way to be in this world where you're not already on the path. You can be a bank robber, and if you're paying attention, you're on the path. You can be a warlord, and if you're paying attention, you're on the path. If this is true, then you must admit you're not so good at being so bad. Means always doing better than you think you are. But this paying attention is essential. I heard it this week and I loved it. I remember who said it. Maybe it was Sadhguru and some quote written down that I saw on Facebook or something, but it's true. And it is that there is nothing in all time and space and all the universes that has been replicated identically. No blade of grass has ever been the same as another in all of time. No grain of sand. It's true. Not just as a poetry, but for something to really lean into, to absorb the full weight of what this means. No two things have ever been alike. And then it was said, he said, only the mind replicates and loops. in a way hinting that mind, that chitta, and the repeating fluctuations, the vrittis, whirling, looping. This is the aberration. And not a problem, except for the perceived problem of the one identified in it. And this is called suffering. But if you're seeing it, if you've come to the point in your own paying attention, in your own observation of your own direct experience, using the power of inference through scripture and sages, you may come to see. This is very good news. Maybe one of the most confounding aspects of the predicament of suffering is that we don't know what's happening and we don't know why. Have a safe trip. So to come to know the source of suffering, that through the repetitions, the deeply ingrained repetitions, patterns of mind, that one has become identified in and as, this distracts one from the fundamental truth of a direct relationship, deeply, with Krishna. That just somehow mesmerized by the contents of mind, lost in a miasma, a dream, a recurring dream of suffering. But you see, it's never actually been true. You've never been separate from Krishna. So the question is, if you've come to this recognition, how to proceed, what to do, and also what not to do. So just by inferring how it is you're aligned on your spiritual path, your tilak gives it away. And your sweet smile. It's true. It's so simple. It's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This alone will resolve the habits of mind. And as a as a devotee, as a bhakti, what concern is it how many lifetimes it might take? You see, the truth is that there are only circles, ever expanding circles of Ras Leela. This is that. It's our own distant echo of Ras Leela. You can take joy in just knowing that. This is the expansion. You, this. And simultaneous to this is Radha Krishna. And the energy for this is drawn from that. It is borrowed. For me, I say, bhakti and devotion are essential. And self-inquiry and Advaita is essential. And they are not in conflict. Treat them like wings of a bird, that you don't fly lopsided. So, what if your practice is perfect and you're already doing it? And really the frustration is you just want it to be quicker. And your sense of time and Krishna's sense of time is very different. I don't know the science of what they say, but let's just say it this way for effect, which is that your entire lifetime isn't even the blink of an eye of Krishna. Is it okay? Something more? Okay.
That helps. Thank you.
We think that the habits are the problem. We're right. It's true. But what we don't see is that our judgment of our habits is also a habit. And more foundationally, the problem than the habits themselves. Self-judgment is a habit pretending not to be a habit, and is the most precarious of all. So these offenses of against Krishna, the truth of it is that we turn away from the divine And then we experience what's called abandonment, or the divine has been offended or turned away from us. It's not possible. It's an important distinction for us to understand that shame is primary to the predicament of suffering. Mm. The offense is to our own selves for us misleading ourselves away from the love and truth that is. Mm. And the problem with a particular way of interpreting this offense is that it it fuels shame. And we increase our self-judgment, and then we increase our judgment of others, and out of this shame arises dogma. Mm. And dogma is insincerity, pretending to be sincere. It's a cultural mendacity. Mm. It's a pretense and a fraud. Mm. Inhibits the one who feels shame and inhibits the others that are shamed by this one also. You come to Krishna as you are. You enter the path from where you are, as you are. This shame in us will have us running around, wondering, what is the list of improvements I need to make in order to qualify to start my path? You come as you are. We think that without this self-judgment, we would be running around making a mess. That we think that maybe the whole thing would erupt in immorality. But here we are with the shame and the judgment, and it's a mess already. Huh? You see? The judgment itself is the very motivation to transgress. It's so insidious and so opposite to what we've learned, how we understand. But truly, when self-judgment falls away, there will be no incentive to transgress. There'll be nothing in you to move toward offense. And you'll know this from your own direct experience, because this happens inch by inch, sometimes painful inch by painful inch. What can you be other than as you are? What could we pretend to be that Krishna wouldn't see exactly where you're coming from? So this is, to me, this is fundamental, which is relax. How it came to me so many years ago in that still small voice, soften and allow. And this, I tell you, has been my practice through and through in every crossing, every realm, every dimension. Soften and allow. Okay. Andrew.
Nataraj, you like you just said, like there will be nothing left in you to that would want to transgress, and you said something along the same lines several weeks ago, uh, something like when one is shameless, they can't do anything that's shameful. I think I got that right. I had an experience like this myself just yesterday. I noticed that um, there was a compulsion to do what I would consider something shameful. And the moment that in this instance, I recognized that I withdrew identification from it. And immediately when withdrawing identification from it, the urge left. To your point, why does that happen? Why is it like that? There's some nuance there that I'm missing.
Let's look. But what's more important is that you've caught the thief. Now you know of your own direct experience. The game's up. You see? And now you mustn't ever pretend to not know what you know. That thief is so subtle, so cunning, so clever. But now you know. The answer is actually quite simple, which is it's just mind identification. There's nothing more than that. Thought identification. First this thought, now that thought. Now all of the thoughts that arose from this and that thought, all of this begetting in the mind. And then this narrative makes sense and you're at the center of it as the protagonist or antagonist, you know. The entirety of everything arises from the I am thought. And whatever proceeds, I am, off to the races. No thought is excluded in this. Means contents of mind will never lead you free of mind. Not possible. You've heard it said, as sharp as a knife is, the blade will never cut itself. But you've also heard it said, remove the thorn with a thorn. So really, on the approach, in inquiry, the only proper use of intellect is to see the seed of intellect, to remove all of the falsities. For so long in life, the smarter, the more intelligent you are, the more confused you will be in relationship to the truth that precedes mind. But when one comes to the intersection that Deepti was experiencing, then the mind now turns to, the intellect turns to probing the fallacies of mind. And whether it's through this very disciplined approach to inquiry, or through mantra, or both, the fruit is you see from before mind. When you have this glimpse, this is very much a new beginning of the path. One could have the experience even, joyfully, of saying, my goodness, I thought I was climbing the mountain all along, and I've just only discovered myself on the trailhead. But now you'll begin to enjoy the hike. So, every contemplation, every inquiry is exploration of thought as thought itself, reflective. Mind is reflective. Recursive reflection, recursive thought. Entangled in itself as opposites. Pairs of opposites. You see? And so the mind is in a constant reflection, a constant inquiry, a constant debate, most commonly in constant conflict. The sense of you in conflict with the other sense of you. Each one always pretending to be the one to lead you to freedom. But the one leading you to freedom is itself the bondage. Chant a couple of rounds of Hare Krishna while you're doing this, so you don't break. just soften around this. You know. This is very good news. Anything that would call it bad news or frustrating or want it to move quicker is just another thought inviting you back into the suffering. I don't want to go into the pragmatic, practical life. This is essential also. But this much we know, and this doesn't need our exploration. We know what life asks of us, and we should continue to oblige as duty. You'll be released from that in the appropriate time. But let's explore this, the less common inquiry, which is, from where does thought arise? As what? From when does thought arise? How do I know thought? What is my relationship with thought? Quite simply, Ramana Maharshi would say, who am I? So in the experience that you're referring to yesterday, there's the one who was tempted into an indulgence. There was the one who saw that the habit of that didn't lead to happiness. There was the one who wanted to judge that, one who wanted to shame that, and there was one who was aware of it, and now there's one who's presenting it in satsang now. So who are you? Are you all of these? Are they all now? Are they all simultaneous? Are each one of those ones? The thinker, the speaker, are they all present with you now? In this moment? What's present now? You see? When a thought crosses the mind now, are you the thinker? The progenitor of thought? This isn't an assault on anything. It's not an assault on you. This isn't a condemnation. It isn't an indictment. The one who would take it as such is also bound in the very same thing. The result of this isn't really the end of you. It's the beginning, you could say. It's also not true, but more true, let's say. The beginning of vitality, of honesty, of real life as a verb. So, what can you say now?
It's leading me to a conclusion about my experience that seems like too simple to be true, but that makes me think that it is true. I guess I could say it in the form of a question. Is the only thing, I want to be open to the answer, is the only thing that gives these addictions, compulsions, their driving force is just our identification, like is the only thing that gives them their power, their life, our identification?
Such a great question. No. There's a force. There's a gravity. Swami Shivananda said it this way. I say this a lot, this by Swami Shivananda. He said, the journey to liberation is like walking up against the Ganga in monsoon. And he said, in this epoch, this Kali Yuga, even the great sadhus do well to simply stand still against the torrent. I'm not an expert on Vedanta or any theology, but I believe this is what's called Maya Shakti. It's a force. It's an actual force insofar as you are subject to anything, you are subject to this. This is why Bhakti is so powerful. Because there is an admission of powerlessness against the very force of nature of the universe. This Maya Shakti is what has Earth orbiting the sun, and the sun orbiting, I don't know what it orbits, some black hole in the galaxy. It has that black hole orbiting some supermassive black hole. Your power, my power is insufficient to this. So this is why we plead from the depths of our being, from a place of total surrender. Lord, please come. Please come now. Of myself, I can't. I cannot. I have tried. Over and over and over, I have tried. Please come. As powerful as this force, this tremendous current of Ganga, as powerful as that is, when you come from this place of surrender and longing, the response is instant. And you access a power, the divine power, that can pluck you right from the whole thing. As if Ganga was a trickle. But it's also another reason why we should re-examine this sense of self-judgment and shame. The momentum, the immense momentum of universe keeps you in universe. This is not a bad thing. But you lack sufficient power to remove yourself from it. This is expressed in truth from a different perspective by Jesus when he says, "Of myself I do nothing. All things are done through me." And this is the reversal, the recognition that you are not blocked or bound at all, but you are a hollow vessel of the entire thing. And what's removed, the Vedantins would say, is only ignorance. Only misunderstanding is removed. Only falsity is removed. But you see, falsity was never true. And so in a way, nothing, in fact, changed, other than the perception of your experience of what it is to be you and in the world. It is my assertion that when one turns to God, pleading from the depths of their predicament in all sincerity, and that all of your frustration, all of your seeking, all of your disciplines, all of your austerities are to bring you to this place of the deepest desire. The deepest desire that in recognition with it, we've been calling it the want of wants. Coming into contact with that, all other wants fall away, and this want will come rushing towards you. In all mercy and grace, we would say, maybe, from the Christian perspective. Did you know Ramana Maharshi was a Bhakti? Devoted to mother. Johnny.
This is really beautiful, and it's sort of sparked. I've been pondering this quite deeply a lot recently because I relate to this, you know, this thing you say of like I've tried, you know, tried to pull myself up by my bootstraps type thing, and it's not worked. And it feels to me that this idea of like I was listening to another mystic, Llewellyn Bon Lee, a Sufi mystic, and he was saying like in the journey of the soul, one of the fundamental like ingredients is an energy source. Like you need to call upon an energy source because you of yourself do not have the energy to pull yourself out from the thing that you're stuck in. My question is, I've been pondering the concept of avatar in quite a lot of depth, you know, particularly the great avatars, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, you know, the 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 mechanism through which they have recontextualized humanity in such profound ways across however many years and eons, and how when one is within the energy of one of those avatars, that's one of the most powerful forms of intercession of this energy source that there can be. So my question is, it's both an intellectual question, but it's more sort of present because it's relevant to how I pray, I guess. Is it necessary to have the energy of one of these avatars who can intercess, like who can, the intercession of that energy pulls one towards God, or is it possible to sort of reach directly without without the energy of one of these avatars? I'm not sure if there's an answer to this, but it's something that's been really quite present for me over the last couple of weeks.
Very good. It matters, maybe it's intellectual, but it matters because it matters to us while it matters. It's a funny word, matter, actually. You've probably heard it said, the mind is like a tuning fork or a radio. And where you tune, this will be your experience. And you will move toward that. You are what you eat. You have become what you have eaten. And upon seeing this, now you can tune to a channel that will actually bring you to safety. And it's true also that our tuning fork, it has a particular frequency, and it always likes to come back to that. And the radio dial always seems to just come back into the channel. That we can't see what we're tuned to, it doesn't matter. What is seen is an emanation of the frequency of the source of the tuning anyway. Well downstream. The body of the avatar is well downstream, but also so close. Huh? These things, it's like dancing to try and speak to these things, because the moment you put one foot down, you need to move. Focusing your attention on the avatars is very beneficial. Not in the least part, because you'll be removing your attention from the energies that are not bringing you joy. And I think each one has felt it to some degree, even just when we logged on with each other on this Zoom call. I had the feeling of that moving through all of you. But really, I'm just staring at my computer screen, aren't I? This is darshan. It's what's happening more fundamentally in satsang and sangha than the words and activities. I heard Muji say this a couple of times. He said, you know, in these satsangs, these words are simply to keep your butts there, to keep your minds engaged while I love you. Mm. Whatever it is that we worship and adore, this is Guru. No one has ever been without Guru. When you come into proximity of the Guru who is empty, will not transact, needs nothing from you, or even to the greatest embodied expression as avatar, as you say, then you simply come close and you drink. You marinate. Oftentimes, the mind will rebel. Because identified with mind, coming into contact with mind, well, the word is eraser, but really, this is the meaning of the word guru. It's the remover of darkness, of ignorance. And when we're identified in our ignorance, then we can find darshan to be very uncomfortable. Unless we're ready, you know. Even in my own very small way, people are either strongly drawn to this or strongly repelled. There's one more aspect. There's so many, but there's one I think that's also very much worth talking about, is that we can cultivate the humility that is required for us to be empty enough to receive what's being freely offered. This is called humility. And being in relationship to symbols of the divine in a place of submission, it's called pranam, bowing, is not that the murti or the statue needs it, not that the guru needs it or wants it, good Lord. That it serves you to be free of the very thing that is blocking you from being the full recipient for free, which is pride and arrogance, often unconscious, unseen. So this is the other great advantage of coming into contact with something that something that you're looking for flows through that, through the murti, through the guru, through the scripture. And when you approach with a deep humility, with an emptiness and a total readiness and willingness to receive it, in a way you've done it yourself for yourself. The repeated approach, even with the aspiration of humility, then you will eventually be empty enough to receive that you yourself were the only block to it. And so it could be said this is an intercession. This is a demonstration of mercy. This is the omnipresent power of grace. the grace of God. Huh? That we just simply drink, marinate. A seeker, a great academic with a great reputation, goes to a master and enters the master's hut and says, "Master, I have the greatest respect for you. Here are my credentials I've been seeking, and here's my level of recognition, and I have some questions for you, but I don't have a lot of time." And the master says, "First, welcome. Let's have some tea." And the master goes in and, with a ritual of devotion, makes a beautiful tea and brings it back out. And as he's talking to the student, he says, "Well, so tell me more about da 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 da." And he's pouring the tea, and now the cup is overflowing. And the seeker says, "Master, the cup is full." Yes, cup is full. Can't add more. Huh? No. This humility is essential to being able to receive the very thing that we're seeking. The seeker itself is often so full, unaware of our own sense of "I know" and "I'm right." So much wanting to say what we know. So much wanting to say what we know. Maybe it's from an arrogance, or maybe it's from a sense of just needing to be validated. But in any case, not sincere in the question, not sincere in the approach. In humility, we come to receive. Now, the avatar is present, Andrew, in the scripture, in your contemplation, in every breath you breathe. Also can be helpful for the mind to have a murti, just for the mind to being so accustomed, so attuned to the objects of its perception, that divinity can also work in this way as well, as a crutch. And eventually, through this, even through ritual perhaps, you really, each one will come to see that God inhabits every breath, is the very thing that's looking through your eyes and moving your tongue. You, like Jesus, will say, "Of myself I do nothing." In the world, but not of it. You will say this one day in an honesty. You see, it's my way of feeling it that God is not offended by your pride and your arrogance of the so many things you still think you know. He just has given you free will and won't override it. It's only until you turn with a sincerity and an emptiness, an openness. He doesn't override. You could say in a way that this pride denies him access. It's not true. He can override. quite certain, but doesn't. This is sometimes I hear myself talking and wonder, it sounds so, I don't know what. Well, hopefully anyway, it's somewhat useful. You know, hopefully, truly, it doesn't sound like preaching. I would hate that. It doesn't feel like this. Huh? It feels like a great love pouring through that just wants somehow, I don't know. But it's funny because sometimes I still hear even my own words with old ears, you know? Huh? The ears of an iteration of me from years ago. It's a funny experience. You ever imagine, of course, I think it's universal, when we imagine having a conversation with the, the us that we were 10 years ago and how it would go. I think some movies have been done and some books have been done like this. One thing is funny is that it is certain I love that one so much that that previous version. I love that one so much, like my own child. And I think that one probably would not have liked me very much. Yeah. No. Who has something more? I don't have Krishna Priya, so maybe somebody else can help me with time. Oh, I think we're right there, aren't we? Okay. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. So much love. £50 of love in a 2-pound bag. Thank you.